Hi, Michelle here. In today's video, I'm going to do a little bit of something different. I have this Caudata big green leaf that is in a 6-inch pot that is having issues. It has dying leaves, dead leaves, but I thought what I would do is I thought that I would up pot it, take it off the trellis, put it on this big 7-inch pot, put it on a double U trellis. But more importantly, what I would do is I would answer your questions that you have sent me over the past couple of videos and on some of the questions I've put on my YouTube community page. So I thought that that would be a fun thing to do today. I hope that you enjoy it as well. So we will get to some potting, but we will get to some, more importantly, some questions asked. If you enjoyed today's video, please give it a thumbs up. That helps the word get out to the YouTube plant universe that my channel exists and that I have content that they might be interested in. If you would like to see more content like mine, especially Hoya-related content, please consider subscribing to my channel. I am, however, on the suggestion of some of my viewers, about 75% of you, going to start adding in some of my non-Hoya plants so you can see what I do with some of those as well. So stay tuned. I am having knee surgery in about 2 weeks, in a little less than 2 weeks. So after I do some recovery from that, you will probably see me doing some chores with some non-Hoya plants. So if you're interested in that, please stick around for a few weeks and you will see that. And if you would like to add something to the conversation, please put it in the comment section below. I do read and respond to all of my comments, so I promise you I will get back to you. It just may take me a day or two, so please be patient with me. And now let's go ahead and get to the fun part of the video. We're going to go ahead and we're going to take this apart. It's got root stem in the bottom. The roots are pretty soft and pull all apart, so we're going to lose those roots. So let's go ahead and put this pot to the side and let's get to the questions. And the first question is, what is my favorite Hoya bloom I've bloomed? That's a good question because I have bloomed, I have not bloomed a great deal of Hoyas, maybe about 15 of them, maybe a little more, maybe a little less, probably about 15. And I will say that my favorite bloom would probably be, I really love the Thomsonii blooms. So I would say that because I love the Thomsonii blooms, I also love the new blooms that I just got off of my Spectatissima. So that one is like a mini Thomsonii. So that is pretty interesting to me. I just took off the clips, so everything's just going to kind of fall off in one big blob. And because there is dead leaves in here and dehydrated leaves, I am going to kind of have to untangle this before I unpot it. And that should be interesting because Caudatas are the absolute worst in terms of having tendrils going everywhere. Now that one is definitely a dried out dead one. I did bring my my clippers. Yeah, that one didn't even get sapped. So I would also say that the Rotunda Flora has really great looking blooms. So that one is also a favorite. One I do not like. Well, I like it for the blooms, but I definitely do not like it for the smell. And that is, of course, the Mathilde. To me, that smells like cat pee. So I definitely do not like that Hoya bloom very much. But the rest of them I like a lot. I like the Lacanosa blooms, the Croniana blooms. I did not really bloom so many this year. My Hoyas kind of are at a stasis point right now. They are not really growing. They are not really faltering, but they are not really growing. And I know it's a root issue. I know that it is not necessarily a root rot issue all the time per se, but it is definitely a root issue. I think that some of it is due to me having Hoyas in pon, and some Hoyas, they only get so big in pon, and then that's just kind of it for them. But, you know, like this Hoya right here. This Hoya did very, very, very well until suddenly it did not. And now it's in its did not phase, and I have to fix it. But I didn't fix it for the longest time, and that's my fault. So now I have to pay for that. And I pay for that by a stalled Hoya with lots of dead leaves. So, you know, unfortunately that happens. There is a lot of work, I think, that needs to be done with my Hoyas. I think that I need to do a lot of repotting. I think I need to do a lot of repotting. I think I need to do a lot of transferring from pon to cocoa husk. Oh my gosh, look how big this leaf is on this Hoya. It's so dehydrated though, but look how big that is. It is so dehydrated. And this leaf is bent. That doesn't even look possible. So that is my answer to that question. Hopefully that answers that question good enough. The next question is, what Hoya did you and your daughter start with? Very good question. The Hoya I started off with was a 2-leaved cutting of a Crimson Queen that I got at a get-together that somebody hosted back in 2019, back when plants were just starting to be a little bit of a big thing. And I didn't own any Hoyas, and someone had slight cuttings, and I was like, well, what's this? And she's like, well, would you like this cutting? And I was like, well, okay, I guess. And so she gave it to me, and it grew and it grew and it grew, and I finally threw it away this year. What it was doing was it was throwing all white leaves, and then they would drop off, and then it would just grow more all white leaves. So I finally just, after all those years, gave up on it and threw it away. The first Hoya that my daughter received, that's an interesting question. And you may be wondering what I'm doing. And what I'm doing is I'm just cutting the very, very, very tips, just like a 1 millimeter edge off the tips, just to see if sap is produced, because Caudatas have the woodiest stems ever. And there are a lot of stems on this plant that are dead. A good example is this. This is a dead stem. So I'm going to cut it off right, if I get the leaves, right there. So that leaves good stem that will harden off and then hopefully grow from there. But that's a stem. You have to know where to trim. Like this stem right here looks woody and dead, but if you'll notice, I trimmed just a very, very 1 millimeter bit off, and there's sap coming out. So I know that this is still alive, don't cut it. So that's what I'm doing on the ends of all of these. I'm going in and I'm trimming off like 1 millimeter just to see if the stem is still alive. And everything that's not, I'm trimming down. So the plant looks good. I'm trying to find the part that has the root rot, because I don't really, I see dehydrated, but I'm not really seeing like a real classic, the whole stem has root rot kind of a thing. So I'm hoping that it's not going to be too much of an issue. Okay, so now we got everything. We've got all the tendrils taken out and kind of spread out. Now we're going to go ahead and before we take this out of the pot, I'm going to go ahead and prepare the trellises for putting in. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to put these in a U formation and zip tie it. But as for the Hoya my daughter had, I don't recall. It was one I gave her. That's a really good one. She's not here right now for me to ask her, so I'm going to have to put it in the comments, in the section down here. I gave her one about maybe 3 years ago. I tried getting her interested in plants very early on after I got interested in plants, because I knew that it would be a hobby she could do with her limitations. She has some health limitations, and it could be a passive or an active kind of enjoyment. So thankfully she did. Now at first she wasn't too into it, and I will admit I did have to water some plants for her in the beginning to keep them alive. So what are you going to do? Sometimes you have to do some things, I'm looking to see where I can zip tie this on. I'm thinking maybe around one loop around here. And I did it backwards. But to get back to the subject, it was something that we could enjoy together. She has quite a collection of plants in her room, although she is not as into Hoyas as I am, I will say, which there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. You know, hey, to each his own. So let's get this one zip tied in, and then we'll have pretty much a fairly stable zip tied in trellis. There we go. So that looks pretty good. I wish I could zip tie it in all 4 places, but I don't think I need to. So the next question is, what medium do you like to root Hoya in? And the answer is whatever I'm growing it in. For the most part, I like to grow in the medium I grow in. I don't necessarily like to root in water. There's nothing wrong with rooting in water. It's just I tend to rot roots rot the stems when I root in water. It takes longer to root in the substrate you are growing in, but it tends to be more reliable. So what I'm doing now is I'm just pulling out all of this substrate, and the substrate is pretty damp. So I will say that. There is a lot of root material. It doesn't look very high quality though. I know Caudata roots are pretty fragile, but this is pretty frazzled. Let's get this string out. Oh, there's 2 strings. Okay. So these Hoyas, my gosh. See, I can see why these Hoyas have gotten to a certain point and stopped growing, because the roots are pretty trashy. You know, I'm just going to say that right now. And they do look like they have root mealies. See, like we have this, and the roots, if we can get a picture of them, look how frazzled, look how gnarly they are. If I could get more, see if I whack off more dirt, you can see, look at those roots. Those roots are terrible. I mean, they're just really terrible. And I don't really know what to do about them. So I think what I'm going to do is, I think I'm going to trim. I think I'm going to trim off the yuck. My brain tells me I need to reroot this. And then I look at this cutting and I think, how am I going to reroot that? My brain tells me I need to reroot it. And I have no one in this house to get me rubbing alcohol. Okay, so I'm going to take a break. I'm going to go grab the rubbing alcohol because I want to spray down these stems. I am going to reroot this plant. God help me. Okay, I took a little break so I could go grab the rubbing alcohol, and while I did, these roots had a chance to dry out, and while they did, they're literally coming apart. So this is confirming my suspicions that I need to go ahead and maybe reroot these. There are some good roots on these though, so I'm going to save what I can and just cut off the rest. Now, I do expect that this Hoya is going to have some issues with this. I know it will. So I am going to not keep, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut it back to that. And because these are so long, I am going to cut right here and cut this off. And I'm going to plant this as a whole plant, and then I'm going to root this in the new mix. So let's spray these. I need it. This thing, you got to spray it really, you got to press it really hard to spray to get it in a mist. Okay, so that's one down. And let's just go ahead and keep doing these. And if I could find my phone, I would go on with my questions. Did I leave my phone? Oh. I was talking about what medium I like to grow Hoyas in. And like I said, the short answer is whatever, or what Hoyas I like to root in. And the short answer is I like to root whatever I am going to grow in. That's the short answer. And that is because there is no transplant shock. You know, that's the main part of it. There's no transplant shock. I root in all sorts of things. And it does take longer to root in substrate. I will say that. Water rooting is the fastest. I have bad luck with water rooting, to be honest with you. I rot a lot of stems that way. That's just my luck, though. I know most people have, like, you know, incredible success rooting Hoyas in water. You know, 2 weeks and they have a full pot of roots. I have 2 weeks and I have a rotten stem. So that's what I do. Now, I didn't clean this one off too much because it actually has really good roots. So I'm going to take this one and set this one aside. Oh, and gotta spray it off with some rubbing alcohol. Okay. Just slap them, get rid of extra plant material, extra soil material. Okay, I see a lot of dense root material, waste root material. I'll show you it right up there against the stem. This Hoya, these look good too. These leaves look good too. So I'm not really going to mess with that other than clear out this gunk at the base of the Hoya. So the answer to the media question is, really anything that I want to grow in is what I will root in. I definitely like to root in what I grow in. So, or if not, something like, something very substrate like perlite, or I don't do, the one thing I don't do is I don't do stratum. I've not had good success with stratum. So that is not something I really partake in. I have not good success with it. That's just me though. I know, I know a local collector that has just the best luck with stratum. She has beautiful, beautiful plants. They just explode with growth, growing on stratum. How many plants and Hoyas do I have? Well, I counted recently. Individual Hoyas, I have about 100. I have about 150 Hoyas. Individual species, I have about 140. So I do have some duplicates. I have about, I don't know, maybe 40 cuttings. Non-Hoya plants, I probably have about maybe 50. That's a good estimate. Maybe a little less. They are gently dispersed throughout my house. I did not start with Hoyas, although Hoyas definitely became my obsession. And I am getting this stuff all over me. So, I started with orchids back in like 2017. My husband had gotten me some orchids as a get better soon present. And then I got some for Mother's Day. And then I got a basket that had a lucky bamboo in it. And I thought that was just so cool, a house plant, besides orchids. Orchids are not really house plants to me. But this lucky bamboo definitely qualified. So I was, once I got that and I wanted to put it into something besides the decorative but not functional base it came in, I started getting into plants, and I turned a shelf that my husband had into a plant shelf. I commandeered it from him, and then I just kind of got carried away. I got, after that shelf, I graduated to a Vitsja shelf. And after that, I graduated to a Millsbo cabinet. And then I graduated to I was very kindly, now these cuttings, these leaves are very dehydrated. And I'm looking at this stem, and this stem is dead right here. All these roots are going to a dead stem. So I'm going to cut that off, and I'm going to try and reroot these. I'm going to cut this one off because it's just got a stem and not even a living stem. So I'm going to cut this. let's see. I cut this. And this has got a stem too, but to save the plant, we are cutting the growth tips. So this is, I will cut this right here. Okay, so we are going to grow this right here. And let's see, this is pretty flimsy. You can see the leaves are very dehydrated, very, very, very dehydrated. So I'm gonna leave this one root on here, maybe. Yeah, the root looks good. So I'm gonna leave the root on here and see if this cutting will survive. We'll see. That one concerns me. Let's see, what do I wanna do next? Do I wanna do this? Let's do this big one. Oops. Okay. Did I spray it? No.
Yeah.
Okay. I have so much to clean up when I'm done here. I have... Okay. These roots, let's look at these. Oh, these are so dehydrated. Yeah, this is the dehydrated one. This one, we're not even saving them. We're cutting them all off. I'm cutting this into short pieces. This is so dehydrated. Let me show you. See, these leaves are curly, curly, bendy. See that? Look how floppy they are. They are completely dehydrated, and they will not survive much longer if they are not re-rooted. So that's what we are going to do here. We are going to re-root these. It's already got a dead stem at the end. Okay. So that one's got to stay on. We'll reroot this. Let's see. I have a lot to clean off me too. Let's see, what's that? Come on. Okay. How many years have you been collecting? I started actually collecting plants officially in 2019. That is when I officially became plant obsessed. No, that's when I started actually buying house plants and moving things out of my house to make room for plants. So we have one more, and this is a big one. This has like 3 or 4 vines. These leaves are very dehydrated. So this leaf is hydrated though. So now we have to see where on the stem it becomes dehydrated. So this has some very good roots, but it does look like it may have some root mealies. Okay, so it does have, see, like it's got this good root right here. So we're going to keep this root going. And then we're gonna clean out this scraggly, rough mess of roots in here that don't really do much and are a hotbed for root mealies. These are okay. This is not. So I'm going to cut this little guy off. And these are okay. These are okay. These are okay. This is so-so. This is so-so. Okay, so I don't think the water is going to uptake quite that far, so let's get rid of this. And these feel dehydrated, so let's get rid of the backward stem and get rid of this stem. Okay, so now we have all of our pieces. So now it's time to get this trash out of the way. And let's go to, whoop, there's one back here. Let's see. Let's go there. Okay. Now, let's get our new 7-inch pot in here. Where is it? There it is. Okay. Now, to refresh you on our substrate, my substrate is orchiata bark, cocoa husk chunks, tree fern fiber, perlite, and some moss to go ahead and add some moisture. So we're going to go ahead and, yes, it's going to get, I'll go ahead and add it while it's in here because it's going to make a kind of a mess, at least at first. I'm going to raise these up a bit so I am not inserting this all the way down. Now this pot is awfully big, as you will notice, but I do believe it is large enough to make this Hoya comfortable.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and tie these last two in here because they are not staying where I want them. So it's only going to take a minute and it'll make all the difference in the world. To finish answering your question, I definitely started slow in my collecting. I would say I started slow and then I kind of ramped up my collection for a little while with the regular house plants because they were kind of a rotating in and out for quite a while as I learned how to take care of plants, how to keep them alive, and I just put this on the outside instead of the inside. So I definitely did go through a growing period. And then my really good friend Tabitha introduced me to Hoyas. You know, she gently introduced me to Hoyas because at first I was like, I didn't really see the benefit to Hoyas. I didn't really see the interest to Hoyas. I was not a Hoya lover at first, I must admit. I know that would probably shock some people, but I wasn't. It's funny. It's funny now. But yeah, I was definitely not a Hoya fan. I'm going to start by situating the plants with actual root systems in here first. I'm going to put them by the trellis arms so that they can be wrapped up a pole or a side. That one looks pretty fragile. Concerned about this one. I'm going to trim this one. I definitely started off slow and worked my way up, but it's been a lot of fun growing plants, growing Hoyas. I definitely enjoy it. Okay, I think that's good. So here we go, and I'm going to put them on the outside. So I'm going to fill these up because the rest of them are just cuttings. I'm literally going to just poke into the ground. So I'm going to get these situated and fill it up, whoops, with substrate. And then we're going to trellis it. Next question. What kind of lights are in your cabinets? I have Barina lights in all my cabinets. Pretty much everywhere, they're all Barina. Most of them are T8s. I have 2-foot Barinas behind me. Those are T8s. I have 2-foot Barinas on my Vitzjo shelves. Those are also T8s. Then I have 4-foot long Barinas on my plant wall. And then I have 1-foot Barinas in my Detolf cabinets. I prefer the yellow white or the white to the pinkish white. They used to have a pinkish white. I don't even know if they sell anymore because it is not a pretty color. It's awful to take pictures with. It's awful on the eyesight. It's awful on the eyes, I should say, because it's just not a good light to be looking at all day long. So I did upgrade all of mine from the pinkish cast lights to the lights, the white lights. And I've been happier ever since. I do have my plants in, these are western and southern facing windows. So they do get a lot of light. The blinds are drawn right now, so I am not incredibly backlit because that would be majorly annoying.
Okay.
And right now I have kind of just abandoned the scoop because I realized I have made a mess, and in for a penny, in for a pound. If I have to clean up a little mess, I might as well clean up a big mess and just go for it. All right, so now I have the cuttings that have roots are now in here. And what I'm going to do is I am going to start to trellis these. So they, whoop, I forgot one that has roots. This one. So it doesn't have many roots. So what I'm going to do is I have a trick. I poke in my shears where I want to put the cutting to make an opening. And then I just slide in the cutting in the spot where the hole is made. And it just kind of slides down in there. Just kind of helps it slide in there. I've done that on previous videos before. So, okay, so now let's go ahead and I think I'm going to use plant tape this time because I have a lot of things to hang up. So let's go ahead and get some plant tape cut. If I had to downsize due to health reasons, how would I decide on which plants to purge? Care requirements, how hard they are to come by, or other reasons? That's a really great question, because I am kind of facing that right now. The question is, I am lucky in that I do not need to downsize. I have family that have offered to take care of my plants, which is very gracious of them. They have said no matter what I need, they will help me, and they know how many plants I have because they live here. So I don't have to downsize. But if I did have to downsize, I would choose plants to go at first that did not spark joy. What plants do I have that I just, I don't really care about too much anymore? If they something happens to them, am I apt to go ahead and take care of them right away? Do I let them kind of sit there for a little bit because I'm just not that into taking care of them? What kind of situation is that plant in? Then I will go ahead and I keep sentimental plants, plants that have been given to me. If it's like a normal trade, not so much. But if it's like a specific plant that was given to me as a gift or something, that would be something I would keep, because I hold dear. Here, let me get out of the way. I do hold dear the plants that I've been given. I appreciate. I was raised in a situation. Editing Michelle here. It was at this exact moment that my brand new microphone decided to do what all new tech does to people, and it quit working. Thankfully, I can cut through most of the daydreaming and random thoughts and let you know what I was talking about when the microphone cut out. So here we go. I was starting to tell you that I was raised in an environment that included daily interaction with grandparents who lived through the Dust Bowl during the Great Depression and who had lost everything to their name. So they learned to truly appreciate what others gave you, whether it be for the time they put into picking out the gift, to the thought they put into the gift selection, to the money for paying for the gift. This rolls into plants because I have some plants that are as common as they come, but that I cherish because of the gift it is. But after holding on to Hoya that were given to me or otherwise have special meaning, I would get rid of Hoya that don't fit my space requirements. I'm really tired of trellising a Hoya and then finding that it has grown a tendril and leaves up through a shelf in just 1 week. And lastly, Hoya that absolutely need to be kept at 80 to 90% humidity. I have the ability, but no more room for these Hoyas. The next question is, what plants are you most excited about? I'm pretty excited about 2 recent additions to my collection, Hoya Brassii and Hoya SS43-03, Soloisiana times Sigillatus Atlas River. The Brassii has a matte finish on its leaves, and it reminds me a bit like a Caudata crossed with the Bermanica. I just received a small plant rooted in pure cocoa husk, which is a recipe for disaster for me, but it arrived too late for me to repot it. So it has just acclimated to my conditions, and I look for it to start growing as soon as I can repot it. The SS43-03
has smallish size leaves, about an inch and a half, 2 inches long, that the top surface is smooth. I can't see too much Sigillatus Atlas River in it right now, but I'm hoping the plant will show that cross trait soon. The next question is kind of a follow-up. What blooms do you look forward to? I haven't bloomed the largest number of Hoya. I've bloomed 33, but I think I have bloomed some Hoya that are a little bit different, like Rotundiflora and GPS 7240. You are seeing some of the blooms from my collection on the screen right now. I can't really tell you what order these Hoyas bloomed. I wish I wrote it down, but unfortunately I didn't. So I'll show them to you in kind of a general order. The Ficii has an especially beautiful pinkish-orange color. The peduncle was not completely full of a ball of blooms, but for its first bloom, I think it did really good. The GPS 7240 is such a subtle pinkish-purple color. The peduncle spread out quite a bit before it bloomed, which allowed each flower to display itself beautifully. The Hischeliana's blooms, to me, smell like buttered butterscotch popcorn. Once you smell it, you'll never forget it. This photo was taken when the whole plant was covered in peduncles. The Irena is in the Finlaysonii complex, so its flowers are similar to the Calistophylla and Finlaysonii. But as you can see in the picture, the colored portion of the corolla is very muted. It reminds me of the colors I like to use in art projects. The Obovata is in the Carnosa family, and its blooms do not disappoint. For my first bloom, I didn't get a full rounded pedicle, but it was pretty close, and the pink on pink colors are to die for. The Rotundiflora is an interesting Hoya, and it produces fascinating blooms. For the first couple of days, the blooms do not open fully, leaving the corolla expanded out to look like petals of a flower. They are also fuzzy like a Caudata. Finally, my latest first-time bloomer is my Spectatissima. I received this Hoya as a 4-leaf unrooted cutting about 6 months ago, so I think that's a great growth time frame. The blooms look exactly like a miniature Thomsonii. They are pink, fuzzy, and only open part of the way, just like the Thomsonii.
I just noticed that my camera was set wrong and my microphone was off, so I do not know how long you didn't hear me. I will know in editing, so you may hear a voiceover from me. I don't know yet. But let's go ahead and get back to answering questions. I was talking about the plants I was most excited about. So since I know that you probably didn't hear that part, if I won't repeat anything, hopefully, but if I do, please, excuse me. It's just editing issues. So one person asked me what Hoyas I'm most excited about, and I will say that the Hoyas I'm most excited about are my newest Hoyas. I have gotten some Hoyas in the recent past that are quite new to me. Most of the time, I would say I am the type of person that likes to purchase Hoyas that I know a lot about, that I have read a lot about, that I can say with some experience, with some read about experience, I can hopefully handle these Hoyas and not have too big of an issue. So I normally like to do that. I like to, have Hoyas that, I know a lot about pre-purchase. And then I got a Snow Queen. I think that's how you say it. Snow Queen. I got that. And I knew nothing about it, and there was not really that much information about it. And my experience in growing that Hoya has been really fun. And there's, interestingly enough, still not a lot of information out there about that Hoya. So it does prove to be interesting. I have, like I said, before the volume cut out, probably, I have a Spectatissima that just bloomed 2 days ago, and that is a new one for me. So I got that as a trade in October, and it was, I think, 3 or 4 leaves when I got it. And that's a pretty small plant. So 3 or 4 leaves growing into a plant large enough to bloom is pretty exciting for me. And the Spectatissima is really exciting. I grew it, like I said, from basically 3 or 4 leaves to what it is today, which is, I don't know, maybe 30 leaves. So it's nice sized. All right, so looks like we lost a leaf. That was too sad. And looks like we have we lost that leaf, but I pulled it. All right, looks like we have a few more to go. Now what I'm doing is I'm filling in the inner pot with some of these more stable ones. I'm filling in the inside and wrapping outwards. And as you see, this is what I'm talking about when I say it has a curved stem on it. See just that little curve on the end right there? I just take and I just cut that little curve off, and that makes it so much easier to go into the pot. And I don't want to put anything inside the pot because that will just become a real mess to try and get out of. So I'm going to put it right here. And I definitely do need strawberry pinning forks, but we are going to make do without today. And we're just going to attach them, hold them in place that way. Okay. So there we go. That's what we're looking like right there. And of course, when we water this in, things will settle down. And we have so many left to go. I don't know if we're going to be able to fill up the pot. We might need to make a second pot of the Sumatra. This one looks pretty dehydrated. I'm not sure this is going to survive a rooting in soil. I may take that out to water root. Now, you notice I did say water root. When these are so dehydrated like this that I don't think they'll revive being in soil, I will go ahead and take them and try to root them in water. This is because this is just a last ditch effort. I have other leaves in here that are really bendy and wavy, but they don't look as leather-like as this, and they're not as faded. When they fade out to nothing and get leathery, that's when you have to worry about it. See, like this, see how it's just faded to nothing, and the back of the leaf is just faded and yellow. So I'm going to do that for this and for this one too. Now this is a good leaf. This is a good stem. I have every confidence that this stem should go ahead and grow. Let's see. I do believe a couple of ants. Which flowers do I look most forward to? The flowers I don't have yet are the flowers I look forward the most to. Those are definitely the ones I look forward to, are the ones that haven't bloomed yet. Any I am particularly looking forward to. I don't have any on my wish list. I really wish my Caudata would bloom. I really wish my Caudata Gold would bloom. So that is one that I would like. I would like some others to bloom too. I wish really wish my Caudata Gold would bloom. I don't know. What would I like to bloom? I would like to get a Pretorii and have that bloom. But I don't have that yet. I have a Leucantha. I'd like to see that bloom, but I also like that for the leaves. So I don't know. I'd have to really think about that one. That's a good question. I'd have to look at my plants. I really am more of a leaf person than a bloom person, and that is because, with the exception of last year, I don't really have a great deal of blooms. I've probably bloomed I think I bloomed like 20 of my plants, and that's about it. This year was not a huge year for me and Hoya blooms. I talked about this to someone, but I'll go ahead and say it again. I think I am in a bit of a stasis right now with my Hoyas. I do believe that when Hoyas get so big and let me set this out of the way. I do believe that when Hoyas get so big in pond, they go through a root metamorphosis, so to say, and the roots get more tangled, more weak. They're more fragile. They're less able to support themselves outside of pond. And I feel that they get weaker. And then when a plant gets to a certain size, say this size, they just kind of quit being able to support a plant past that. And I'm at that stage with the majority of my Hoya that were in ponds. So right now I'm at the stage where I'm transferring my plants from pond back to organic. And that is a change to the plants. So they don't do well at first with that. And so I am in the phase where I am having root rot from plants that are not adapting well to a soil environment, or I'm not keeping them damp enough. Probably I'm not keeping them damp enough. It is a process right now. I won't say that I'm doing the best at it. I wish my big Hoyas would get bigger. Right now, they're just not. I'm hoping that this is a first step for this plant to allow it to get bigger. That's what I hope anyway. How do I trellis Hoyas with thick, sturdy stems such as Curii, Mellifera, Calycina, and those kind? The only Hoya I have ever really tried to trellis with thick stems is the Globulosa cowbay. I did trellis that on a U-shaped trellis. It went along with it, but it did not like it. And basically every leaf that was on the downside fell off or did not come to fruition. The stem would naturally not grow nodes on that downside. I did switch it to a ladder bamboo trellis, and I did it up and then down. It grew leaves at the base and at the top, and it has not grown anything at the side. So I planted 2 plants, one on this side, one on this side, and it's the base of the plant. The cuttings from the plant are in here right now. I have a plan to reunite the cuttings of the plant with the mother plant itself and regrow the whole thing. and see what happens. But that is probably something I will probably try to put on this and wrap around like this, around and up. That is probably going to be what I'm going to do, round and up. Because you can't really, I could bend it in a circle if I did it slowly and gradually. It did okay till you get to like the 10 o'clock position, and then it kind of throws a fit. I leave it at 10 o'clock, let it grow, and then when it gets long enough to trellis it down to like, or bend it around to like the 6 o'clock position, that's when I finally bring it around and trellis it, attach it to the trellis. But long stem or thick stem Hoyas kind of throw a fit with that. This is an interesting one. Do you have, I'll hold this up. Do you have pink, purple, black spots on Hoya Crassi Petiolata Splash? It's not the splash coloring. Do you know what they are? I noticed that a lot of people have them, but opinions seem divided on what's causing it. I do have this. I have this on some, and I believe it is sun stressing. I don't believe it's anything harmful. I don't think it's anything wrong with the plant. Crassi Petiolata does not sun stress. And when you have a Hoya that's exposed to sun, sometimes things happen. Sometimes they beautifully change tint, and they go from a gradual green to a gradual brown to a gradual red. I'm thinking Tequila Sunrise do this. Gana and Gading do this really well. Meredithii fade out from a dark green or a medium green to a light green really well. But some Hoyas do not sun stress. A lot of Hoyas do not sun stress. And what they do instead is they get sun spots. They get sunburn. And this sunburn can appear as brown spots, red spots, purple spots, red spots, but they appear as spots. It does not look like sun stressing, but that's what it is in my opinion with my Crassi Petiolata Splash. I've seen a lot of overexposure to sun in my Hoyas before, and it generally when you get overexposure to sun on a Hoya that does not want to sun stress, you generally get dots, you get circles. So I feel that the Crassi Petiolata pink purple splashes are sun stress. Reduce the light, put them in a little bit dark corner. It may or may not fade. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. I have found that sun stressing can really fade really fast, or it can stay on for a very long period of time. I have Tequila Sunrise over here that hasn't been exposed to highlight for 6 months, and it still has brown leaves. So, just take these things in stride. But there's nothing wrong with the plant. If you have actual burns in the leaves, I mean, we're talking actual burns, brown, dry, crispy, white burns. That's when you have to be concerned. But pink purple, don't worry about it. Just reduce the light. It may or may not fade. Don't worry about it. Which are your easy bloomers and which are your frequent bloomers? I am going to do a video on blooming, but I'm not going to do one now because a lot of people have recently did Hoyas or have done videos on Hoya blooms. And I don't want to, dilute the pool because they all did really great videos on Hoya blooms. And besides that, my Hoyas have all bloomed already. So I have really nothing to show other than some dried up blooms. I do have my Spectatissima is blooming right now. I think I have a something blooming. Maybe my Rebecca. My Rebecca is always blooming. Maybe my Sunrise and maybe a Lacanosa somewhere, but that's about it. But I will go and tell you what are easy bloomers. Lacanosas cronianas are easy bloomers. Put them in a lot of light. Give them a lot of water. Let their roots grow, and they will bloom early for you. Matilde can be an easy bloomer, or it can frustrate the heck out of you. So I found it was my easiest bloomer for me. It was the first Hoya I got to bloom. So I would personally say it's an easy bloomer, but I know a lot of other people say it's not an easy bloomer whatsoever. It tricks you. It gets peduncles and then they fall off. I would say the multiflora is an easy bloomer, but be careful. That one also likes to blast the peduncles. Mine does it all the time. It's bloomed for every 2 blooms, 1 blast. So, that one's a little finicky too. So I just have to keep it wet, and I don't keep it wet, and it likes to stay wet. So that's my problem. So those are all the questions that I was asked. I got through it. I trellised my Caudata big green leaves. I think it looks better than it did before. I have 4 cuttings that are too desiccated to put in here to try and hope to root. So I'm going to root those in a vessel. So that is my video for today. I really hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope you enjoyed listening to me answer all the questions from you. If you didn't get a question answered, please put it in the comment section below, and I will save it for a next video. To give you a little bit of an update on me, I have my knee surgery scheduled for June 10th. So it's a little less, and as of right now's filming, it's a little less than 2 weeks away. I am planning on recording a couple of extra videos, so I will have some while I'm recovering. Then I have some plans for recording a video or 2 while I am in recovery. It may be in a different spot. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate the time you took to stay with me until the end. I know that there's a lot more things that you could do with your time, so I really appreciate that you spent it with me. Thanks so much for joining me today. Have a wonderful day. Bye.